Folks, it's not looking good. The economic landscape is shifting, and not in a good way. Remember Home Depot, that big orange beacon of hope and DIY projects, the place where dreams of home improvement come to life? Well, they just issued a warning about the U.S. economy, and it's not just a minor hiccup, and it's not exactly a gentle tap on the shoulder. It's more like a full-blown air horn blast to the face. They're slashing sales forecasts, signaling a significant downturn. This isn't just a seasonal dip, it's a red flag. They're talking about a tepid recovery at best. The aisles that were once bustling with eager DIYers are now eerily quiet. And their CFO even muttered something about a deferral mindset among consumers. People are hesitating, holding back on spending. Now, I'm no economist, but when Home Depot starts using terms like tepid and deferral, you know things are about to get real. These are not words you want to hear from a retail giant. Think about it. Home improvement is supposed to be recession-proof. It's the go-to for people looking to invest in their living spaces. People always need a place to live. They'll fix up their homes before buying new ones. It's a fundamental part of the American dream. They'll fix up their homes before buying new ones. But if people are even holding back on essential repairs and upgrades, these basic improvements, it's a sign of deeper economic troubles. Well, it's enough to make you want to build a bunker out of 2x4s and hope for the best. The uncertainty is palpable. The thing is, Home Depot isn't just some random store. It's a bellwether for the entire economy. When they struggle, it sends ripples through the market. It's a bellwether for the entire economy. When their sales drop, it's a sign that consumers are hurting, and that's a big deal. When their sales drop, it's a sign that consumers are hurting. And when consumers hurt, everyone hurts. The ripple effect is undeniable. And when consumers hurt, everyone hurts. So, buckle up, America. The road ahead looks bumpy. Because this Home Depot warning, it's just the beginning. We need to brace ourselves for what's coming next. Let's face it, the economy is a bit like a Jenga tower right now. Each piece represents a different aspect of our financial system, and it feels like we're constantly pulling out pieces, hoping the tower doesn't collapse. One wrong move and the whole thing could come crashing down. It's a delicate balance, and the stakes are incredibly high. And unfortunately, it seems like we've been playing a very aggressive game. Every decision feels rushed, every move more precarious than the last. First, we've got inflation soaring higher than a SpaceX rocket. Prices for everyday items are skyrocketing, making it harder for families to make ends meet. Remember when a gallon of milk used to cost like a reasonable amount? Those days feel like a distant memory. Now it's practically a luxury item. The cost of basic groceries is becoming a burden for many. And don't even get me started on the price of eggs. It's as if we're paying for golden eggs from a fairy tale. Then, we've got interest rates going up faster than a sugar-crazed toddler at a birthday party. It's a wild ride, and not the fun kind. Mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, all of these are becoming more expensive, putting additional strain on household budgets. They're all getting more expensive by the minute. The cost of borrowing is climbing, making it harder to manage finances. The result? Consumers are getting squeezed from both ends. Rising prices and higher interest rates are a double-edged sword. Their paychecks aren't going as far, and borrowing is getting more expensive. It's a vicious cycle that's hard to break. It's no wonder they're putting off those home improvement projects. When every dollar counts, luxuries and even necessary repairs take a back seat. They're too busy trying to afford basic necessities. The focus has shifted from thriving to merely surviving. This is the economic equivalent of getting a double whammy to the gut. It's a painful experience that leaves many feeling winded. And frankly, it's enough to make you want to curl up in a ball and cry. The emotional toll is just as significant as the financial one. But hold on to your hard hats, folks. It gets worse. The economic landscape is shifting, and we need to brace ourselves for what's coming next. Remember the housing bubble of the 2000s? Of course you do. It was a time that left a lasting impact on the economy and on millions of lives. It was a wild time of reckless lending, inflated home prices, and the unshakable belief that real estate values could only go up. Banks were handing out loans like candy, and everyone wanted a piece of the pie. Well, guess what? The housing market is looking a little bubbly again. The signs are all there, and it's hard to ignore the similarities. Except this time, it's not just about subprime mortgages. It's about basic affordability. People are finding it increasingly difficult to buy homes, even with good credit. Home prices have been skyrocketing for years, fueled by low interest rates and a shortage of inventory. The demand has far outstripped supply, pushing prices to unsustainable levels. But now that interest rates are rising, those high prices are starting to look a lot less appealing. Higher interest rates mean higher monthly payments, which many buyers simply can't afford. Add in the fact that wages haven't kept pace with inflation, and you've got a recipe for disaster. People are earning less in real terms, making it even harder to save for a down payment. People simply can't afford to buy homes at these prices. The dream of home ownership is slipping away for many, and as demand cools, prices could start to fall. Sellers are already beginning to lower their asking prices, hoping to attract buyers. But it's not just about home prices. The ripple effects could be far-reaching. It's about the entire housing market. A slowdown in home sales affects more than just real estate agents. A slowdown in home sales means fewer people are buying furniture, appliances, and all the other stuff that goes into a new home. This impacts retailers and manufacturers alike, and that means trouble for retailers, manufacturers, and the economy as a whole. The housing market is a key driver of economic activity. So the housing market is looking a little shaky right now. The foundation is wobbling, and everyone is watching closely. And if it takes a tumble, the consequences could be severe. Well, let's just say we might be in for a bumpy ride. The economy could face significant challenges, and we all need to be prepared. History may not repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. And right now, the economic rhymes are starting to sound a little too familiar for comfort. We're seeing declining consumer spending. We're seeing a slowdown in the housing market. And we're seeing warning signs from major retailers like Home Depot. Sound familiar? It should. These are all classic signs of a recession. Remember the dot-com bubble burst in the early 2000s, or the financial crisis of 2008? Yeah, those weren't exactly the good old days. Now, I'm not saying that we're definitely headed for another recession, but the warning signs are there. And if we're not careful, we could end up repeating the mistakes of the past. The good news is that we're not there yet. But the bad news is that we're headed in that direction. And if we don't change course soon, we could be in for a world of hurt. When you look at all the factors at play, it's hard not to be at least a little concerned. We've got inflation raging, interest rates soaring, and consumer confidence plummeting faster than a lead balloon. The housing market is teetering on the brink, and durable goods orders, a key indicator of economic health, are contracting. Add to that the potential for new tariffs, which could further drive up prices, and you've got a recipe for a full-blown economic crisis. Remember stagflation, that delightful combination of high inflation and economic stagnation? Yeah, it's not pretty. Now, I'm not an economist, I just play one on TV. But even I can see that we're headed for some turbulent times. The question is, how bad will it get, and what can we do to prepare? So, the economy is looking a bit like a demolition derby. What's a savvy business like Home Depot to do? Well, they're placing their bets on the professionals. You see, while DIYers are cutting back, professional contractors are still going strong. They've got projects lined up, and they're willing to spend money to get the job done. So, Home Depot is doubling down on this lucrative market. They recently acquired SRS Distribution, a massive distributor of roofing and other building materials, for a cool $18.3 billion. That's billion with a B. They're also investing in new technology and services aimed at making life easier for contractors. Is it a risky move? Sure, but it's also a sign of the times. As the economy slows, businesses need to adapt or die, and Home Depot is clearly not afraid to make bold moves. The question is, will it be enough? We've established that the economy is a bit of a mess right now. What does that mean for you, the average consumer or investor? Well, it's not time to panic, but it is time to be prepared. For consumers, that means tightening your belts and getting your financial house in order, pay down debt, build up your emergency fund, and be mindful of your spending. It's also a good time to brush up on your DIY skills. You never know when you might need to fix a leaky faucet yourself. For investors, it's a time to be cautious. The stock market is volatile, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the air. Diversify your portfolio, do your research, and don't be afraid to sit on the sidelines if you're not comfortable with the risks. The good news is that even in a recession, there are always opportunities, so stay informed, stay flexible, and don't be afraid to adapt. There are a few potential scenarios where the economy could avoid a full-blown meltdown. One possibility is that inflation starts to cool off, giving the Federal Reserve some breathing room to ease up on interest rate hikes. Another is that the job market remains strong, which would help to support consumer spending. There are also some potential silver linings to the current economic situation. For example, the slowdown in the housing market could make homes more affordable for first-time buyers, and the shift towards online shopping could create new opportunities for businesses that can adapt. The point is, it's not all doom and gloom. There's still hope, but we need to be prepared for whatever the future holds. Now, the U.S. economy is facing some serious challenges. Inflation is high, interest rates are rising, and consumer confidence is falling. The housing market is slowing down, and there are signs that a recession could be on the horizon. But it's not all bad news. There are still opportunities out there for those who are prepared. So tighten your belts, diversify your investments, and don't be afraid to adapt. The only certainty is uncertainty. But by being prepared, we can weather the storm and come out stronger on the other side. And remember, if all else fails, there's always the option of building a bunker out of 2x4s and hoping for the best. Just make sure you stock up on those discounted power tools while you still can.